Peace. You know, we end every service with our peace song. And the way it was written, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Now we sing this in the affirmative. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. It's just like affirmative prayer. What we're doing, we're recognizing that peace already is. And all we have to do is open our eyes and see it and live it. Now, A Course in Miracles says that peace is the condition of understanding, not vice versa. You ever notice how many times say, if I only understood what was going on, I could be peaceful? It's not the way it works. First, you get peaceful. Because it's only in being peaceful that we can clearly see and know anything that's going on. A good picture to think of is to remember that it's always easier to see the bottom of a muddy pond when the water is still. Einstein, you guys have heard this, he said, the problems that exist in the world today cannot be solved by the level of thinking that created them. I'm going to tell you real clearly that all of the problems of our world have been created by a lack of peace. A lot of us are going to say, by the way, that I'm not peaceful because of what's going on. And what I'm going to tell you from a unity and new thought perspective is, what's going on is because you're not peaceful. You cannot bring peace through your own agitation, worry, fear, attack thoughts. It cannot happen. So the key here, we've heard it a lot of times, but don't fight against what you do not want. Merely choose for what you do want. It's the old ditty, you know, what you resist persists, and what you focus on increases. A little thought about fact, you probably all know it, but there are more people in the United States who are researching cancer than there are people in the United States who have cancer. And do you know the way you research cancer? You create cancer to study it, to learn how to do it. And you know what else happens? You find even more obscure forms of cancer. So now we have new ways to give ourselves excuses for being sick and leaving. What you focus on increases. Hope. Heaven on planet Earth. Heaven on planet Earth is like a big smorgasbord. A big buffet, and it's got something on there for everybody. So, clue guys, you're not required to sample everything. Alright, if you don't want it, it's there for somebody else. You know the concept, you've heard of this vote with your pocketbook? You know, it's sort of like, if you don't like the movies that are being shown, you don't watch the movies that are being shown. If you don't like the things that are being sold or advertised, you don't spend your money on those things. Because I got to tell you that the commercial world is not stupid. If you don't spend money on it, they don't produce it. Well, it's the same thing with this world. If you don't like something, anything, vote with your consciousness by not choosing it. Very, very simple. So just choose what you do want, and don't waste your time and energy on anything that you don't want at all. Now, peace. When we are peaceful, we have the capacity to hear, to listen to, and to follow only the voice for God. And, by the way, it also means that we have the capacity to respond to whatever comes up with love. Now, from a place of agitation, I want to promise you that the only voice you're going to hear is the voice of your ego. And the only way you're going to be able to respond is with worry, fear, lack, limitation, attack. Peace. Now, peace has been given kind of a bad rap. You know, at funerals they say, rest in peace. Yeah, gotta die to be peaceful. Yeah. You know, is it any wonder that we have a culture that is addicted to adrenaline, to intensity, to drama? Because in our own way, we are afraid of peace. Now, the truth is, we're actually afraid to be alone with ourselves because we judge ourselves. Silly, huh? You know, what all of us really want to know at the heart of everything is we want to know that we are unconditionally loved. Isn't it true, if you knew that you were unconditionally loved, your whole world would change? You know that old song? I didn't really like it, but it speaks the truth. Looking for love in all the wrong places. You know, that's us. Here we have God, the God in us, the God in all of us, who loves us unconditionally. And yet look at how much time and energy we spend trying to get people to love us unconditionally, when people, individuals, personalities, egos have no clue about what unconditional love is. So, the thing we need to remember is that no one will love you unconditionally until you love yourself unconditionally. And that means you need to love yourself exactly the way you are in this moment in time. By the way, it doesn't mean that you have to say, okay, I'm going to be this way forever. But you have to love yourself in that moment in time. You need to identify yourself as the Christ you are created to be, and not identify yourself with the things you say or the things you do, you know, the acts that you out of your personality self. That's our big mistake. When things aren't going well, we need to trust God's assessment of us, not our own. We need to go back to the truth. Even if we don't feel it in this moment in time, we need to remind ourselves that it is true. We are created as the Christ. See, then we become self-correcting. We become personalities who are actively in the process of acting more and more like the Christ. When you judge, you're in no position to choose again other than reactively. When you love yourself, when you're at peace with yourself, no matter how much you think you have screwed up, you're actually in a place where you can choose again. The self-correcting Christ. Now there's a concept I want to share with you this morning, and it's what I call dynamic peace. And in some ways it sounds like an oxymoron. How can you be dynamic and be at peace? But I want to remind you that peace is not always calm and still. Today's my day for friends in Middletown. We have another friend in Middletown who has a real problem with the Course in Miracles concept of there is nothing to do. He says, what do you mean there's nothing to do? I have to do this, I have to do this, I don't get fed, I don't do my house, I can't do anything unless I can't have anything unless I do all these things. And that's true. There actually is a lot to do, but it's not the kind of doing that he's thinking about. See, we need to be peaceful enough so that we hear spiritual guidance and know what it is we're supposed to be doing. And we need to be peaceful enough so that we do what we do with efficiency, with ease, with elegance, with smoothness. See, it comes down to the fact that I'm not the one who is doing. This is being done through me. And then it's not work. Then it's a dance or a song. It's a joy, it's a pleasure. And there's nothing for me as a personality to do. Dynamic peace to me is kind of like riding in an airplane at 10,000 feet. There's a lot going on, and you get from here to there, but you're not tired flapping your wings. So it's a good time to remind ourselves of the fourth unity principle. Align with God, align with good, align with love. Is both the key to peace, and it's one of the benefits of experiencing peace. Through prayer and meditation, we align our heart and mind with God. So every once in a while, people look around and they say, well, gosh, isn't the state of the world a good excuse not to be peaceful? I mean, you hear all the stories, right? Boy, if you only knew what I'm going through, or look at this problem that they're having. How can you be peaceful with all of this stuff going on? A Course in Miracles in their workbook addresses this very directly. So I want to read this section to you. If you are trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Yet who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? God is your safety in every circumstance. The Apostle Paul said it in Romans 8, same thing. He said, what then shall we say in response to this? If God is for us, who can be against us? Another little myth that bears dispelling. Love, peace, is not always nicey-nicey. It's not always sweetness and light. See, Jesus came as the Prince of Peace. And you notice he sometimes acted really strongly. In the book of Matthew, he said, do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. See, he came to help us sever our connection with the world, to sever our identity as an egoic personality human being. He didn't come so that we could be peaceful in this world. He came so that we could experience the peace of God. And I gotta believe from everything that I've read and heard on the inner that he didn't have any problem doing whatever it took to wake us up to remember the truth of ourselves. He believed that the most loving thing to do was whatever it took to break us out of this human trance. And you notice he didn't act from ego. He always acted based on his own spiritual guidance. And he really didn't care what it looked like. He only cared how effective and how true it was. So keep it in mind that peace is not a weakness. Peace is a strength. Peace is like the laser beam. It is a focus of energy and power. You know, agitation, worry, all of this lack of peace, it's like a light bulb. It doesn't even have a shade on it. The light is dissipated. It's weak. Now, we do not know from our personality self how best to respond in any situation. You notice that? It's kind of trial and error. Let me try this. Whoops, that didn't work. I think I'll run and hide. It doesn't work, by the way. Come back, try something else. Don't try the same thing again. The problem is, even in the best of circumstances, we cannot tell if what we did, how we responded, actually worked. You can't tell based on how you feel afterwards. You can't tell based on how other people respond. You can't tell if it worked based on what things look like after you've done your intervention. The best you can do is be peaceful, listen to that inner voice, and follow exactly what it says. Sometimes, later on, we go, oh, that was good. Sometimes, we never know. In nature, there are all kinds of different plants that grow all kinds of different ways. You know, some seeds you put in the ground, they sprout immediately. There is one variety of bamboo. You put it in the ground, and it sits for 11 years, not even breaking the surface of the soil. In the 12th year, it grows 81 feet. Listen, follow, and trust. Trust that what's been planted will grow in the right time. So Advent is about preparing the way. So ask yourself, where and how can you personally bring more peace to yourself and to your world? Good homework exercise for this week, guys. Where and how can I personally bring more peace to myself, to my world? Another way to look at that is, where can I extend peace rather than waiting for peace to come to me? See, we're here to be love in the world. So I want you to remember, now there is peace on earth. And it has begun with you.